Well, day 6 is now come and gone in Theodore Edgecomb's trial, and today Theodore took the stand in his own defense. I mean, really, how much worse can it get? Hello again, everybody. My name's Sean Martin, and I'm an attorney out of Cleveland, Ohio, and I focus on criminal defense work. Today we're going to recap Theodore Edgecomb's testimony, both his direct and cross-examination. Now, why am I only focusing on him? Well, that's what today was about. Yeah, other things happened, but really, this is what we've all been waiting for. Really, for me, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been dying to hear what this guy has to say. Either it's going to be great or it's going to be a dumpster fire. Before we get into that, though, good or bad testimony, regardless of who you are, taking the stand in your own defense is no small feat. It takes something special.
It takes brass balls.
I would argue in Theodore's case, he had to take the stand in his own defense. So far, none of the witnesses who had testified had been able to demonstrate that Jason Clearman had a weapon in his hand or was violently aggressive or really aggressive at all towards Theodore. That left him with being the only person who could try to introduce evidence, and testimony is evidence, of something that would justify his self-defense claim. In other words, for Theodore,
It's fuck or walk. You close or you hit the bricks.
so direct examination started out pretty well. He described the first encounter.
And it's traveling westbound on Brady, but it's in the eastbound lane, and it swerves over from having a head-on collision, and they're headed towards me. So I brace for impact. As I brace for impact, the vehicle just clips me, hits my pedal, hits my leg, and then also hits the handlebar, knocks me onto a parked car.
Then he described the second encounter where he threw a punch.
You mentioned that you tried to catch up with the vehicle, correct?
Yes,
Did you ever catch up with that vehicle on that evening?
yes.
And what did you do once you caught up with that vehicle?
When I came up to the passenger window, I actually was, riding kind of fast, and as I gathered myself, riding pretty fast, headed to them. Came up to the passenger window and just asked them, "Hey, were you guys talking to me?" And he said, "Yes, nigga," and I punched him.
Then he tried to shoehorn in a little bit of racial tension.
These individuals were chasing me down. They were trying to hit me. I knew this deliberately now at this point. I became, fear, came over me, as I heard that. Ahmaud Arbery resonated in my mind because I'm like, these people are hunting me down now at this point.
And then he got back on track with the third encounter that happened on the bridge. The final encounter.
As I got on the sidewalk, I was fearful, in fear of my life. I heard someone yelling out at this point, "I'm gonna kill you, nigga. I'm gonna kill you, nigga."
Now, just to be clear, at this point, you have now turned right into a particular area, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, what options were you considering after you took that right into this area? Can you describe that area that you turned into?
Yes, it was a landing stairwell. I was considering jumping over the banister. When I looked over, it was too far of a jump. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna make that. My first option, though, was to go down the stairwell with my bike to just get away from him altogether. As I'm hearing, "I'm gonna kill you, nigga, I'm gonna kill you, nigga," I can't make it down the stairwell in time because I hear the voice getting louder and louder. So I'm like, where is this coming from? And I'm like, I didn't want to turn my back, to a threat either, because I knew that these individuals had just tried to hit me. So I'm hearing this voice, getting louder and louder, as I get off my bike and before I proceed to go down the stairwell.
Then, then he completely screwed up. That might be a bit of an understatement. I mean, he messed up. That's probably putting it nicely. I mean, he fucked up. Yeah, he really fucked up bad.
What's your intent? You're brandishing a firearm at a gentleman that's coming towards you. What was your intent at this time?
I didn't have any intent. This gentleman actually took one large step and lunged toward me like he was gonna tackle me. And I took a step back. And as I stepped back, it was the reaction from that, the firearm just went off.
That lunge that you're described to the members of the jury?
Yes, as that was done though, I took a step back, and that's when the gun went off.
Theodore also provided us with the insight as to why he left the crime scene, then the state of Wisconsin, and then went all the way to Kentucky.
Now, is it true, Mr. Edgecomb, that at some point over the course of these 6 months that you actually went outside of state lines? Isn't that right?
Yes, that is true.
Why would you feel it necessary to go outside of the state of Wisconsin?
I had to get away from the state altogether. Also, too, I just needed to get in contact with other relatives and whom could help me. I didn't, want to talk over the phone, so I felt, I could, possibly meet up with them in person to, seek or get some kind of legal representation or finances to help me to get legal representation.
Did you or Ms. Mizell ever get in contact with legal counsel on your behalf?
Yes.
And what were you told from legal counsel upon getting in contact with them?
I was quoted different prices, ranging from $50,000 to $140,000, as far as these individuals and them, as far as them representing me.
Mr. Edgecomb, did you have the resources to pay $50,000 to $140,000 to get legal counsel at the time?
No, that was my reasoning, for contacting other family members and, going out of state.
I'm hoping Attorney Lamar and Ahmed didn't charge him $50,000 to $100,000, because that would have been robbery. Then the other attorney, who had spent the past hour slowly sharpening his knife till it was honed with a razor edge.
This is a kill. This is a kill. Main artery. This is a kill.
Got up and came towards Theodore in cross-examination. That guy was the prosecutor, and he was ready to battle. Cross-examination was interesting, to say the least. We got a preview of the majority of Theodore's answers, plus what appeared to be the logic tree his brain was operating on.
You went down the stairs, is that correct?
Can you repeat that?
After you shot and killed the victim, he falls down to the stairs, he's bleeding out. You take your bike and you walk down those stairs, is that correct?
I reacted in self-defense. I didn't.
That's not my question, sir. My question was, after you shot and killed Jason Clearman, did you pick up your bike and walk down those stairs?
I reacted to protect myself from
Sir,
being
that
harmed.
wasn't my question. So after you shot and killed Jason Clearman, you picked up your bike and you walked down those stairs, is that correct?
I reacted to protect myself from being
Sir,
harmed.
I need you to listen to my question. After the shooting, you pick up your bike and you walk down those stairs, is that correct?
Can you repeat that again?
Sure. After you shoot and kill the victim, do you pick up your bike and walk down the stairs?
I reacted to protect myself from being harmed.
Sir, you're not answering my question. And I understand, did someone tell you just to say that whenever I say anything?
Can you repeat that?
Did someone tell you to just make sure you keep saying that you reacted to protect yourself when I ask a question about shooting the victim?
No.
Okay, so since that is now where we're going with this, let's just concentrate on what I'm talking about. After the death, whatever the category is, and we'll get back to that later, you pick up your bike and you go down those stairs, isn't that correct?
I didn't learn of a death until days later. So.
Understood. Did you pick up your bike and go down the stairs?
Can you, I don't know.
After the incident, Where did you pick up your bike and walk down the stairs, sir?
After the incident, yes, I picked up my bike and walked down the stairwell.
Thank you. Did you put...
I think you could almost make a remix with those answers. Then after a while, Theodore's logic program started to overheat and he suffered a couple of failures.
You fled from the scene, correct?
From
Homicide scene. You fled from the scene, isn't that correct? Yes or no, sir?
I was only able to get away from there, dude.
So you fled from that area, isn't that correct?
Yes, I did leave from
And then,
that scene.
thank you. You ditched the weapon that would have linked you to that shooting, isn't that correct?
I didn't want to be.
Sir, you ditched the weapon that would have linked you to the shooting, yes or no?
Can you expound on ditch?
No,
Like,
sir,
what
that's
is
the
that?
question. Did you or did you not throw the weapon that would have linked you to this homicide out the window?
I reacted to, to prevent myself from being harmed.
If you're cringing right now, don't worry. It gets a lot worse.
I just seen him raise his hands up from his midsection, and it looked as though he was drawing up with the weapon, and it appeared that it was an item in his hand.
Hey, I'm sorry, it appeared that it was what?
It appeared that it was something in his hand.
Okay, you said you saw him coming up from his midsection, both hands, and you think he has something in his hands?
It appeared that there was an item. I wasn't just fixated on that item because there were two other threats behind him as well.
Understood. I want you to ask my question. Just so we're clear, you've done this now 3 times, and all 3 times you've done it, you've had your hands clenched together in fists.
And it appeared that he had an item in his hand, and he lunged towards me.
He had an item in your hand. I understand you've got that. I want to stay right here. He's got his hands up. You can see his hands, right? What did the item look like, according to you?
It all happened so quick. I wasn't fixated on the item.
So, you don't know what it was.
It was dark in that landing area, so I
Again,
couldn't.
you don't know what it was.
No, overruled.
You don't know what it was, do you?
I can't, say or assume what the item was in his hand.
When you stepped back, did you pull the gun up?
At that moment, it did go up because I stepped back. It was reactionary.
Just a reaction. So you're stating you didn't mean to shoot him.
There was no intent there. No, I was.
Total accident, he got shot.
Yes, there was
Okay,
no
thank
intent
you.
there.
Thank you very much. Now,
Yes, you heard him correctly. Maybe there was something. I'm not sure there was something. It might not have been anything at all.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Theodore's testimony was a train wreck of flaming carnage. I mean, this was bad. He's gone. He's done. Absent God intervening, this is it. Now, I know some of you are out there thinking, and this is actually an astute point. Sean, maybe they went ahead and brought up this idea of the gun accidentally going off and that he had no intent to kill because they knew their self-defense claim was toast. And if their self-defense claim is toast, he might be convicted of intentional homicide. So instead, accidents and no intent bring him down to the lesser included offenses, such as reckless homicide or criminally negligent homicide. I would be inclined to agree with you except for one thing. Theodore is stupid. His attorneys are absolutely fucking stupid. They've been horrible this whole case. At what point have they demonstrated the forethought and the strategy to get him to this point where they're going to do damage control on such a monumental scale? But like I said, if any of you out there are thinking that, you're pretty smart. You're pretty sharp. You're a lot sharper than his attorneys. Well, that's it for today, guys. Next, we'll cover Day 7, the closing arguments, and also the verdict. And remember, until next time, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.
did you ever think that maybe he was just going to punch you after you punched him?
No.
Boy, everyone is stupid except me.